Hey guys, what's up? Dave, your Jiujitsu Uncle here, and it has been a while since we had a JitsChat episode. Partially because the weather has been crazy hot the past couple of months, and it is just too hot for me to bike at high noon to the gym. So in this episode, we have a very poignant question that I received from a DM. And that this gentleman asked me this question. I'm paraphrasing his question here, but essentially what he's asking is, he's been training and enjoying jiu-jitsu for the past 9-10 months or so. He's in his 40s. He's a white belt, obviously. And just like a lot of middle-aged folks, he has a full-time job. He has a child that is still in younger school age. And the typical issue of balancing training, work, rest, and family time is an issue for him. His main question was, is it really necessary, and is it the only way his question mainly was, is it necessary, and is training 5-6 sessions hard a week really the only way to get fast improvements? Because he feels like he attends the classes, he gets the lessons, but he doesn't see his improvements during live rolls. I think that's a very common question and a common situation that hobbyists face. And especially for older folks who have more responsibilities in life, it seems like an unsolvable problem. So let me share my views on this. First of all, again, as with a lot of these topics and videos, it applies mainly to older people, but if you're younger and facing the same situation, it applies to you too. So we're not restricting the topic to just age-related problems. So the shortest answer that I can give is that no. Training more frequently, especially at higher intensity, is not the only solution to get better. And neither is it actually a solution, because quantity does not equate to efficiency. It might lead to better cardio, better exposure, better enjoyment in terms of improving your skills, in terms of jiu-jitsu. But the correlation to causation that training frequency or even intensity with skills progression, especially as a relative beginner and hobbyist, I don't think it's there. The reason is this. You can be learning or practicing one move or one series of moves consistently for a whole month. It doesn't mean that you can still pull it off during rolls. Why? Because the condition might not allow you to do so, right? If you're drilling it casually, or you're doing things wherein, even if it's in live scenario, but your partner, your opponent, knows that's the only thing you're gonna go for, it's kind of easy to stop and block, right? And that leads to situations where it feels like you're not progressing at all. Because, if I know that you're going to go left, I just stop you from going left. It's as simple as that. And that kind of negates a lot of the things that you learn. So that's one thing. And the second thing is the higher your frequency of training, again, it does have its advantages, obviously, but we're looking at things that are more holistically. We're not trying to be time-based athletes where we have checkpoints and tournament schedules to follow, or maximization of our athletic peak. We are doing this to learn, and I think at our age, especially if you started a little bit late, it's just gonna inevitably cause you to wear out and get injured, and that will stop and halt your progression even more. So I don't think that is the way to go, especially if you're older. So I think the shortest answer is that. So what can you do instead? As an older grappler and as a hobbyist, I would say that intentionality is more important than frequency and intensity. The person who asked the question mentioned that their class structure is pretty standard, wherein you do the techniques and then you do live but situational positional sparring, and then they do a full open sparring type of class, typical. The problem for him is obviously for most weeknight classes, or even weekday classes when they attend in the mornings, is that they can't really stay long, right? After the class, after what needs to be done, a clock hits a certain hour, they have to bail. Whether they need to rest for the next day or they need to spend time with their loved ones. Those are priorities. Jiu-Jitsu is not a priority, it's a hobby. It's a sport. But having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are confined to only do what that day's lesson and program is designed to do. Obviously, the classes itself, the positional sparring that you guys covered that day, you should put as much effort and focus in learning what your instructor and coach have imparted on you. But having said that, when it comes to that 15 to 30-minute live rounds that you are afforded to, instead of trying to implement the technique of the day in your live roles, try to always, even on a weekly basis, maybe if you train 3 times a week, maybe in a weekly or fortnightly basis, focus on one intention that you want to get better on rather than the technique of the day. Why do I say that? Because if you try to execute the technique of the day on that day or on that week itself, that the class is learning it, everybody's senses are heightened in terms of how to deal with that move. The odds of you actually being able to pull it off is significantly lower because a lot of the setups, a lot of the prep, a lot of the precursors that make that move successful is relatively obvious, meaning that people will be very aware that it's coming, as I explained during the start of this video. However, if you have some intention on a smaller objective that you're going to spend for the rest of the next 3 or 6 sessions, it will help you develop your game and allows you to stack skills that will last throughout your training journey. That will eventually, most likely, lead to many of the techniques that you learn in class to crystallize, to be more obvious that, oh, I can do this, I can do that. So what do I mean by that, and can I give an example on what intentionality is? Let's say you want to, you want to work on pinning, right? Let's say you feel like, okay, for whatever reason, I get to pass people's guard and I end up in side control, or at least I just get past the hip. But I can't seem to keep them there. They get to recover the guard easily, and we're back to a guard. And obviously, the attacks that kind of follow almost never materializes. If you're gonna go down the rabbit hole of shiny object technique on YouTube and Instagram, you will find hundreds of solutions for it, but none of them might be applicable to you. So maybe what you can do is just focus on, whenever you're passing guard, can you focus on staying in front of the bottom person's hip and knee line? Meaning you find ways, however it might be, to get yourself more sensitive as to why they are able to reinsert that knee between them and you. Is it because of their hip tilt? Is it because you are not controlling the right part of the leg that is being retracted? Is it because of upper body frames that keeps you away, that allows them to have hip movement to either invert or throw a high or low leg to get back into guard? Instead of finding techniques to address it, maybe just spend the next 3 to 6 sessions during live sparring just to deal with that. Don't worry too much about, the sub and things, whatever it is that happens after. Make it a goal that every single time that you are on top and you are passing guard, whatever guard pass technique you choose to try or spam, your goal is not the pass. Your goal is to retain, and not just a broad retaining and maintaining top control, but preventing the legs from coming in. That is your only goal, preventing the legs from coming in. Same thing, let's say you're about to enter a guard against an open guard, for example. Maybe you can focus on just keeping the soles of their feet pointing away from you at all times. That's all you're trying to do. And you realize that once you get good at that, whatever guard pass you might gravitate to later on, whether it's head quarter to knee cut, head quarter to smash, X passes, whatever it might be, half guard, leg weave, tripod, they all kind of have that preliminary necessity for you to clear, which is like the first layer, the sole of the feet not having contact to you, pointing away from you. Once you get that, things kind of make sense as you learn more techniques from your coaches. So because you're confining that objective, you are having that intentionality during training, during the free roll session. Even if it's just 15-minute rolls, and within that 15 minutes you're spending like a third of it, so like 5 minutes on each round, just on that purpose, you will find yourself to improve in those fundamental and foundation level skill that allows you to accumulate specific techniques much better down the road. So I hope that's helpful. If you like that episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until then, I hope I catch you again, and I hope the weather holds up. That allows me to record more of these. Until then, Jiujitsu Uncle out. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that stuff. Help me grow the channel. See you guys. Train safe. Bye.